That was lesson 35. I think this is the most difficult of the lessons in the book. But just as I have mentioned it before, everything can be done, it can be achieved, and we can learn the piece if we follow directions and we remember what we have to do. I mentioned it to you before on the previous lessons, on one of the previous lessons, that everything that a lesson that we're looking at, let's say in this case 35, everything that is on lesson 35 is something that we have done before, or at least the elements are very, very similar. There are a couple of new things here that I'm going to point out to you, but basically if we do it slowly and we remember exactly how both hands have to move and the counting of the beats, there's no reason for you not to be able to play this piece. Doesn't have to be fast, but it can be at a slow pace, which is actually is a waltz. That's the name of the style of the piece. It's on a 3/4 time signature, so it has the feel of a waltz. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now there are waltzes that are faster and there are waltzes that are slower. The version that I used to play of this composition that I wrote, I usually play it a little bit lively, a little bit fast. But if you play it slowly, it still is going to sound good. Okay. Usually I play it like this. which is a little bit too fast. I have to admit, I can slow it down a little bit and maybe go. But it's a matter of taste. Now, if you play it slow, it will sound like this. So basically, it sounds good. Let me point out to you now what some of the parts that are in here that are important to keep an eye on it and just close attention to it and detail, okay? Okay, when we're starting the composition, we are starting on the second beat of the measure. You can see that on the first beat of the measure, we have a quarter note rest. And I'm starting, so I'm counting, let's say if I count 1, 2, 3, like I do a blank, no sound measure, just the beat. Before I start, it would be like this. 1, 2, 3, 1. And then I start. So it's gonna be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So throughout the whole piece, you're gonna see that on measure number 1, I have a quarter note rest on the first beat. So there's nothing in there. On measure number 5, also you get a quarter note rest. On measure number 7, 8, 9, quarter note rest. 10, quarter note rest. 11 quarter note rest. 13 quarter note rest. Then when we go into the second part, also you're going to see that quarter note rest is going to happen frequently on the first beat. You're going to see the rest on other parts, but on the first beat, when there's no sound, usually there's one beat that is silence, and that's the first beat, quarter note. So we have this, actually it's a theme, it's a rhythmic theme that recurs over and over again, which is this one. Then it repeats again. But obviously the next notes are going to change. But I keep the same rhythmic cell or rhythmic combination. Now, the right hand fingers, which are the letters on top of the notes. At this point of the book, obviously we know that P-I-M-A identify the right hand fingers. You're going to notice that I'm starting with index, middle, but as soon as I get to the second measure, I'm going to play that E on the first string with the ring finger while I'm playing the bass note here. So that combination, I have found out that works very well, because if I start index, middle, ring, and then go middle, index. So my hand just perfectly falls onto those three strings. Also notice that on that first string, when I play with the ring finger, I have a line on top of it, which means to rest stroke. So we're going to try to rest stroke that note. So I usually rest stroke other notes, as you could see when I'm playing. So let's say when I start, I can rest stroke those first four notes and go. Or I can do a free stroke and rest stroke the ring finger on the first beat. So you can do it either way, as long as the first beat of the measure is where the strong accent falls. So you have to accentuate every time you get into the first beat, whatever note you're playing is going to have a strong accent because of the 3/4 time signature. Because it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. 1. 1. If I do it slowly, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So it would be a good idea to use a metronome with the piece and set it up at a slow pace. I have placed there a quarter note, half note with a dot at 68, but it's better if you set up the metronome marking to the quarter note. So if you put a 70 to the quarter note, probably it's going to be 1 dum pam pam. At that speed, it's going to be the quarter note. So it would be a good idea to work it that slow. Okay, now we have on the second staff, which is measure 6, 7, 8, 9. On measure number 9, there is a note in there we haven't seen, which is the first note on the second beat, which is an A, and it happens on the first string on the 5th fret. That note, we haven't seen it so far. So if you go on the first string and you figure out the scale on the first string, which is E is going to be open, F with the first finger, G on the 3rd fret, a whole step going up is going to be A. So we have to move 2 frets, G, A. And that's the note that you see there, A. And I'm playing with the ring finger of the right hand. Now I go A, G, which is G, is going to be on the 3rd fret, but then I move into the second string, and this is something else that we haven't seen before also, is that the F that usually happens here on the 1st fret, in this case I'm going to play it on the 2nd string, 6th fret. So that note there on the 6th fret, 2nd string, is the same as the 1st string, 1st fret, F, 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 F. I do play it here because I find it more comfortable or more convenient to play there, since I'm going to still stay around this area when I do the melody, because it's going to go like this. And then I go back again to F. Then I continue on measure number 11. I still have the same hand position finger combination. I go G, F, E. Also the E, instead of playing the first string open, I'm playing the E on the 2nd string. So it's going to go G, F, E, D, back to F on the 2nd string, 6th fret, and E on the 2nd string, 5th fret. And then on measure number 13, I just go to normal position, in other words, first position, F, right here on the 1st fret. So basically, the measures that have a new way of moving, where we're playing a new section of the guitar, new frets, are going to be actually 9, 10, 11, and 12. Those 4 measures, carefully look at them, figure out each one of the notes, and basically memorize the spot. That you will know that this is always A, and that's a high A. Then we have measure, well, we continue there. The other thing also, if you noticed, many times I use the little finger on D on the 2nd string. Sometimes it's convenient to do it, sometimes it's not convenient to do it. But you can try also the 3rd finger if you feel more comfortable. But don't overlook the fact that we have to train also the little finger on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, because there are chords and the finger combination that is going to ask us for that little finger there, while we're using other finger combination. So that's something to keep an eye on it. Okay, we have cadenza, on measure 16, which is the dotted half note, A, on the 3rd string, and A on the bass. Okay, now we're gonna go to measure 17, 18, 19, and 20. Measure 17 is very similar to the first measure. It keeps the same rhythmic combination, quarter note and 4 eighth notes. The only difference is that instead of playing A, B, C, D, like at the beginning, we're gonna play G, A, B, and C. So it's gonna be like this. 1. Now notice also that on measure number 18, I land D on the 2nd string with the 3rd finger, and then I play the third string open. Now there is a separation that we need to keep in mind. The melody, the main melody is going to be this, and ends there, and then the accompaniment would be this. F would be melody, and the G open string would be the accompaniment. So make sure you rest stroke that D on measure 18th with the ring finger, because you see that it's index, middle, ring. Then on measure 19 also ring finger on the first string, while we play middle, index, kind of in the background, but clear on the third string open. So I'll do it again, 17, 18, 19, 20. Then 21. I land with the fourth finger there. Okay, the reason why I land with the fourth finger on G is because on measure 22, 23, 24, measure 25, I'm gonna go into a D minor chord. So I need the third finger on the second string. By using my fourth finger on the first string, I can very well put my D minor chord and do the arpeggio. The other thing you can see here is measure 23. I'm playing A on the 5th fret, first string with the little finger, and then I go to G on the third fret with the second finger, and F on the first fret with the first finger. Before, on measure 6, 7, 8, 9, on measure 9, I did those same notes but as eighth notes, but I used a different way to play them. I went A, G, and then I play F on the second string and back to G. So that F that I play on the second string, when we get to measure number 23, just play it on normal position. So it's going to be 23. It's going to be A, G, F. And that way I'm approaching the area where I'm going to do my D minor chord. That's the reason why I'm going in that direction. Instead of going here, I go. Okay. So I go into the D minor, which is going to be on measure 22, 23, 24, 25. Don't forget to rest stroke the ring finger there. And obviously you're playing the bass note on the fourth string. Now you're gonna notice also here on measure 26, 27, 28, 29, we have also a strange finger combination. We got D on the second string with the second finger, B on the third string. Usually we play B on the second string open, but in this case I cannot play it open because I have D on the second string with a dotted half note. So I look for B on the third string, fourth fret. And then I have E on the fourth string, second fret. So I end up with that type of combination there. Still, the ring finger is gonna rest stroke the second string, which is gonna be D. And E, index, middle, the next one. Then on measure 30th, I'm gonna switch the second finger, play the same D with the little finger, so I can use the other fingers on G sharp, E, G sharp, E. So it's, now that G sharp that we have there, I don't think we have seen it before. You know that the sharp, what it does is raises half a step up the pitch of the note. So G sharp is going to be on the third string, first fret, in this case with the first finger. Think about that G, natural G is the third string open. If I go to the first fret, I'm going half a step up, and that's where G sharp is going to be at this point. So I'm going to do it again from measure 25, which is the D minor chord, with arpeggio, rest stroke, ring finger. The other thing also on measure 26, 27, 28, that we talk about second finger on D, third finger on B, first finger on on E on the 4th string. Sometimes I use a different finger combination. I go third finger here, little finger on the 3rd string, and second here. It's a little bit more difficult, but I use it a lot because it's something that eventually we're going to be using all that type of finger combination, different finger combination. So if I use 3-4-2, would be from the, let me see, from measure 28 to 29, it's going to be, and I get that position. The way I have written down there, now on measure 31 and 32, we have actually 31, 32, 33. 31 and 32 is first ending. You see that bracket with a number 1 on top there. First ending, that means that we're going to, and it has a tie. From 31, 32, we're going to count several beats. We're going to count actually 6 beats. So 31 would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 would be 32 because it's tied. And then I go back to the beginning because we have the double bar, the repeat, that sends me, actually double bar repeat sends me to measure number 25, where the D minor chord is. So if I go 31, would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now the second time that I repeat, I skip measures 31, 32, which will be the first bracket, which is first ending, and just go from measure 30 to measure 33, which I have an A and a C. 2, 3, count 3 beats. Then you have the word D, C al fine, which means da capo, to the end. The fine is going to be, the end is going to be measure 16th. You're going to see the word right on top of it. And da capo means you're going to go back to the beginning, you play everything just to measure 16, and that's when we end the whole piece. So measure 33 would be 1, 2, 3, 1. I start. Then I end there. Okay. Now this is basically it's a little bit more complex piece than the ones that we have been playing before, the other lessons. But like every lesson that we see here is anything that we have in front, any given lesson that we do, in this case 35, the elements of past lessons are incorporated onto 35. We add extra notes in order to move forward with different technique, different ways of interpretation. But we're still playing the same notes. The only note on 35 that we have added that is new is the A on the 5th fret and the switching of F and E to the 2nd string on the 6th and 7th and 6th and 5th fret. Okay? So you got the arpeggios. You got the 8th notes, quarter notes, half notes, dotted half notes, and rest stroke, free stroke. So everything that you have learned so far. So work the piece slowly, pay attention to the detail, very important. A lot of times we overlook details and it makes everything a little bit more difficult when we try to learn a piece. But everything is there. For those of you that don't read tablature, that don't read music notation, you got the tablature right below. And unfortunately, the tablature only gives you the string and the fret where you're going to put your finger. But if you just go straight up on any tablature number, just match it to the notation on top, the notation is going to be giving you the information about what finger of the left hand you're going to be using and what finger of the right hand you're going to be using on that particular fret and string when you're reading the tablature. So with that in mind, wish you luck with this one, and we move on to the next lesson.